Okay, so a lot of you are not going to be able to solve this math problem, not because you're not capable of solving the problem, but primarily I think a lot of you are going to give up too soon. So stick with the problem. But let me go and explain what we have here. So what we're trying to do is find the next three numbers in this pattern. So we have a sequence of numbers. So the first number is 1. The second number is 2. The next number is 3.5. Then we have 5.5. Then we have 8. And what we're looking for is the next three numbers in this sequence, in this pattern. Okay, so that is the question. Feel free to use a calculator. But if you can figure this out, go ahead and put your answer into the comment section. I'll show you the correct answer in just 1 second. Then, of course, I'm going to solve this problem step by step. But before we get started, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is John, and I have been teaching middle and high school math for decades. And it really is my true passion to try to make learning math as easy as possible. So if you need assistance in mathematics, check out my math help program at tcmathacademy.com. You can find a link to that in the description below. And if this video helps you out, or if you just enjoy this content, make sure to like and subscribe, as that definitely helps me out. Okay, so again, this question here doesn't involve a lot of, let's say, algebra, nothing like that, but we do have to try to figure out what is the pattern that's going on in between these numbers, or from one number to the next number, so we can figure out these or the next three numbers in this particular sequence. And this particular problem, to figure this out, I guess this is what I really want to say, it's not that obvious. So if you're struggling a bit, hopefully you stick with this problem a little bit longer. But let's go and take a look at the answer. The correct answer is 11, 14.5, and 18.5. Okay, so these are the next three numbers in this pattern. And if you figure this out, well, let's celebrate by giving you a nice little happy face and A plus, a 100%, and multiple stars. So you can brag to your friends and family that indeed you stuck with this problem long enough so you can see the pattern and answer the question. And again, we didn't have to use well, actually, I haven't showed you the full solution here, but I'm not going to be using like a lot of algebra, nothing like that. Really what we have to do is, look for the things that are not so obvious here, right? Because when you start looking at these numbers, I think initially a lot of you are going to be confused, like, I don't see the pattern. Well, there is a pattern, and really, oftentimes we have to look. It's basically, this is kind of like a puzzle or a riddle problem. You have to look harder and increase your focus to solve these type of problems. So you don't need a lot of math knowledge or skill even. But let's go and get into the solution. And again, to answer the question here, we need to know what is the pattern between these numbers. So we're going from 1 to 2, and then 2 to 3.5, 3.5 to 5.5, 5.5 to 8. Well, what's going on? How are we going from one number to the next number to the next number to the next number? Because if we can't figure out the relationship between these numbers, there's no way we're going to be able to answer what the next three numbers in this sequence are. All right, so how do we figure this out? Well, this is not so obvious, and what you have to do is just kind of start playing around with these numbers. Now, there's different approaches you could take to kind of play around with these numbers to see or discover a pattern. I suspect most people, their eyes are going to come right over here, and they're like, all right, let me go and just start taking a look at the first two numbers in this pattern, in this sequence. And let's go ahead and see what we have here. Okay, so we're starting with 1, and then we go from 1 to 2. Well, what happened there? Well, obviously, we added a 1. Okay, so we took this one, we added a 1, and we got 2. All right, so if adding 1 to the previous term, or the number in this pattern to get to the next number, if that's the rule, well, let's go ahead and test that. So we'll take this 2 and we'll add 1, and what happens? Well, 2 plus 1, 2 plus 1 is obviously 3, and the next term here, the next number in this pattern, in this sequence, is 3.5, so that doesn't look like that is going to work. So unfortunately, we're going to have to continue to look, and a lot of you might be saying, come on, Mr. YouTube Math Man, don't make this problem so hard. Well, again, this is a pattern, and we're going to have to kind of look deeper. But you should look at this problem as fun. Okay, so some of you are saying fun, but to me is, playing video games or whatever the case is. Well, hey, you know what? At least you're using your brain here. And let's go ahead and look at the problem maybe this way. All right, now some of you may have, your eyes might have been drawn to maybe these terms in the sequence. So we have 2 and 3.5. So what's going on here? Well, if we tried to look at a pattern starting from these two numbers, well, to go from 2 to 3.5, we have to add 1.5 to this 2, because 2 plus 1.5 gives us 3.5. Okay, well, if that is the case, let's go ahead and test this. So if we take this 3.5, 3.5, I'm going to write this a little bit better. So 3.5, and then we add a 1.5. Do we get to a 5.5? Well, no, we get to a 5 or 5.0. So that is not right as well, right? So now at this point, some of you might be saying, okay, this is just too much for me. I'm going to quit. I don't want to do this anymore. Well, don't give up. Don't give up. Again, as I indicated, in the beginning of this video, a lot of people aren't going to get this right primarily because they're going to stop looking for patterns. Okay, now some of you might be saying, well, how about if we try something different? We're kind of adding, we're trying to find some sort of number that goes that we can add from the previous number to this number, to get to the next term in the sequence. And that type of sequence, by the way, is called an arithmetic sequence. So some of you out there may have some algebra knowledge and skills and are familiar with a big topic, huge topic in math, in advanced math, called sequence and series. And there's different types of sequence, like things like arithmetic sequences. I'll just show you real quick because this is not what we're dealing with. So if I had two, let's say 2, 3, so to go from 2 to 3, well, let me make this more interesting here. So I'm just kind of going off on a tangent a bit here. So 2 to 3, what do we do? Well, we add 3, right? So if adding 3 is the rule, then 5 plus 3 is 8. And then we could continue on. 8 plus 3 is 11. So here the terms are being separated by 3. Okay, this type of situation is called an arithmetic sequence. And let me go and show you another type of sequence called a geometric sequence. These are very, very common. So what if I had 2, and then let's multiply each term by 2 to get to the next term. So that would be 2, 4, then 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 16 times 2 is 32. So here, the relationship is we're multiplying by 2 to get to the next term. But here, it doesn't appear that we are, doing any of this. So this doesn't appear to be an arithmetic or a geometric type of sequence. Because here, I'm like, all right, well, 1 to 2, well, if I multiply by 2, well, then, okay, 1 times 2 is 2, but then 2 times 2 is 4, so that's not going to work. So maybe we're dividing in some sort of way as well. So you can kind of like say, well, I'll take 2 divided by 1, take this divided by that, and I get 2. Well, if that's the case, maybe then 2 plus 2 is 4. That's not working for us as well. So at this point, a lot of people are going to just get, frustrated and be like, I quit. I'm going to move on to something more interesting and exciting like Netflix or my Amazon Prime account. But in all seriousness, you can figure this out. You just have to continue to work at it, right? And sometimes when you have patterns in mathematics, they're not so obvious, okay? But, we got to keep playing around with these numbers. So let's do this, okay? Now, what I'm going to give you here is a gigantic clue, okay? This is a clue. So what's going on here? All right, well, let's take the difference. From 1 to 2, we added 1. From 2 to 3.5, we added 1.5. All right, well, this is a clue. This is the beginning of the actual pattern that we need to understand in order to solve this problem. So I'm going to encourage those of you out there that want to kind of figure this out on your own, and that's awesome. Well, go ahead and continue to look at the patterns between these two numbers right here. Okay, so we already figured out between 1 and 2, it's 1. Between 2 and 3.5, it's 1.5. What is it between 3.5 and 5.5 and 5.5 and 8? Because once you figure this out, you're going to see a pattern. Okay, so let's go ahead and take the next step, which of course is having you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I need your support. I want to ask and stop this lovely math video if it wasn't that important. You see, my objective is to reach as many people as possible that need help in mathematics or maybe just are interested in math. Now, I've been teaching math for decades. I have a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, and I'm just like, it's not doing me any good just to have this in my brain. I want to be able to help people that could use my help. Now, who could benefit from my help? Well, anyone, obviously, that is trying to learn math or is interested in mathematics. But the way I like to teach math in a non-textbook type of way. Really try to teach math in a clear and understandable way because most people that are frustrated in math are like, I don't like math, I'm bad at math. The only reason they say that to themselves is because they don't understand. Now, why don't they understand? Maybe it's because your teacher is rushing through the material because they have multiple classes to teach, and you're just, maybe at the time you are trying to learn, you're already distracted. Or maybe you have other things going on in your life, but here's the deal. Okay, you can learn. Everyone watching this video can learn math, as much math as you want, but I'm going to tell you two quick things. One, there are no shortcuts. So if you really do want to learn math, there are no shortcuts. You have to build up your skills. That takes time and work and commitment, right? So if you're not willing to put in the work, you're not going to be successful in anything. But the second thing you need is full comprehensive clear math instruction. That's what I'm trying to provide to as many people as I possibly can. So I know I'm kind of being long-winded here, but it's that important. I've been on YouTube for a long time making these videos. It's a labor of love. It doesn't, they don't kind of happen automatically. I put a lot of effort into this channel, but I need your help. So hit that subscribe button. And if you're going to do that, hit that notification bell as well. So thanks for listening to my little pitch here. And now let's go back to this problem. Okay, so 1 to 2, okay, we increased by 1, and then 2 to 3.5, we had to add 1.5 to 2 to get to 3.5. Now, to 3.5 to 5.5, we had to add 2, okay, to 3.5 to get to 5.5. And from 5.5 to get to 8, we had to add 2.5. All right, so now do you see the pattern? Okay, well, hopefully you're like, well, I'm thinking that this 1 to this 1.5 here looks like maybe we're adding a 0.5, right, each time. So this looks pretty good. So 1 to 1.5, we added a 0.5. If we add a 0.5 to 1.5, we're going to get to 2. And then if we add a 0.5 to 2, we're going to get to 2.5. So yes, indeed, we found a pattern that is working between these terms in this pattern. Okay, now this is a little bit confusing, so we do have to be very careful here. So how can we find the next term, the next number in this pattern, next number in this sequence of numbers? Well, it looks like what we have to do here is we subtract the previous terms, right, from 2 minus 1. So that is, of course, 1. Okay, that's our difference. And then we're going to add 0.5. Okay, so 1 plus 1.5. So we'll have 1.5, and then we take that number and we add it to that previous number to get to the next number. Okay, so again, this part of the problem can be confusing. That's why you have to be really focused here, but it's not overly complex, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to find the difference between the last two consecutive terms. We'll add a 0.5 to that difference, and then we're going to add it to that previous number to get to our next number in the pattern. So let's go ahead and figure out the next term after 8, the next number in this pattern. Now, if you want to go ahead and try this on your own before I show you this, well, go ahead and pause the video, but let's go ahead and figure this out right now. Okay, so we have to be, focused here. So from 5.5 to 8, we increased by 2.5, right? So we had to add 2.5 to 5.5 to get to 8. All right, so the next number, we're going to have to take this 2.5, and what we're doing is we're adding 0.5 to that increase, right? So now 2.5 plus 0.5 is 3. So we're going to add 3 to this 8. Okay, so 8 plus this 3 will be the next number in our pattern, in our sequence, which is 11. Okay, so if we understand that, then now we can go ahead and get the rest of the numbers. So now we have 8, and then 11 is our next number. To get the next number, we're going to have to take the difference, right? So between 11 and 8, the difference is 3. Then we're going to add 0.5, right? So we're going to add 0.5, and then that is going to, of course, be 3.5, and then we're going to take that 3.5 and add it to this number here, the previous number in the sequence. So 11 plus 3.5 is what? Well, that's 14.5. So now we have our second number in this pattern. So 11 and 14.5. Again, you remember, we take a look at these two numbers and we're like, okay, the difference is 1. And then once we have that, we're going to add 0.5. So this is, in this case, 1.5. And then we add it to this previous number. So 2 plus 1.5 is 3.5. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and finish this up. So between 11 and 14.5, the difference there is 3.5. We're going to add a 0.5, which is, of course, 4. And then we'll take that 4 and we add it to the previous term, which is 14.5. So 14.5 plus 4 is 18.5. And voila, we have all the numbers in our pattern or in our sequence. Okay, so again, this is not so intuitive, not so obvious what to do. That's why I indicated that a lot of people could get this right. They just it's like a crossword puzzle or any kind of riddle or something. Most people can solve these type of things. You just got to stick with it. Some of you will get this faster than others. I think the key here is really practicing. If some of you out there like doing, like crossword puzzles or playing Sudoku, that's outstanding stuff for your brain health. I mean, you got to keep using your brain. Your brain is a muscle, and if you don't challenge it with like interesting problems and riddles and things like that, your brain just forgets to learn how to problem solve. Now, if you're interested in these type of pattern problems, sequence problems, I have a couple of suggestions for some of you out there. Now, if you happen to be at a level of mathematics where you really do need to learn about arithmetic sequence and series, that's pretty advanced. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and direct you to my pre-calculus course. I teach that pretty heavy duty in that course, so you get complete instruction on everything you need to know there. And that again, that is pretty high level mathematics. But some of you out there might be like, yeah, I don't, I'm not trying to learn pre-calculus, but maybe you just kind of want to dabble around with these type of problems. Well, I have two courses you can check out. So the first is my foundations course, and my other course is Math Skills Rebuilder. So in my foundations course, I basically teach you just basic mathematics. It's a quick course, self-paced, but in there I do have a section on patterns and sequences, things, problems that are similar to the one we just did right here. Now, in my Math Skills Rebuilder course, I teach you everything in this foundation course. Okay, so the foundations course is actually part of the Math Skills Rebuilder course, but then in this course, I teach you a ton of algebra, a ton of geometry, even some basic trigonometry and some basic probability and statistics. By the time you finish this course, you'll have a very well-rounded math education that you can kind of do anything you like with it. You can kind of learn more advanced, maybe like more advanced math like pre-calculus or more advanced geometry. So for those of you that want to kind of recapture your math skills that you forgot maybe 30, 40 years ago from learning in school, or maybe some of you are like, you know what, boy, I could have done so much better in math. I wish I had better math teachers. I wish I was more of a dedicated student. But whatever the case is, don't feel bad about your past, okay? Especially when it comes to education. Believe me, when I tell you right now, in high school, I was a terrible student. Well, I'd say the worst. I did graduate from high school. It wasn't until I joined the United States Marine Corps where I got some discipline and kind of, took some time to to grow up and finally figure out what I want to do. And then later, when I went to college and got a degree in mathematics, I was more mature, more focused. So you certainly can't look back at your high school years and say, well, I did poorly in math in high school, therefore I must be bad at math. Please don't think that. All of you are capable of learning mathematics, but again, you got to put in the time and effort, and it does take time to acquire a lot of these skills. But these type of problems are fun because they don't require a lot of math, but they do require commitment and tenacity, and they're really good for your brain, in terms of keeping it fresh. And again, one of the things that a lot of studies show, especially for some of you out there that are older, is that if we don't keep using your brain, challenging it, it can atrophy just like any other muscle. Okay, so please, whether it's doing basic math problems or crossword puzzles, find something that you do that you like that will keep your brain sharp. Okay, so with all that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics adventures. Thank you for your time and have a great day.